Hello, and thank you for attending SAGE Alerts and Workflow video-based training. Please note that this is video-based training and content is for training purposes only and intended for new and existing SAGE Alerts and Workflow customers.
Hi, this is Russ Lesko. Welcome to another training video looking at alerts and automation. This video is going to focus on working with files when we are designing an event. So I have a event open here. You've already seen some of the aspects of an event already in some of the previous training videos. I am working in an ERP application over here, and I have a number of different things going on here as far as deliverables go. When you are looking at deliverables over here, then you'll notice that the content of a deliverable can include a file. And when we talk about including a file, which would open up this screen, we're simply looking at taking an existing file of some kind. It could be a Word document, it could be an Excel workbook, it could be really a PDF, it could be really anything, and that we would be including that file in the actual event. So we would just simply type in the path to the file right from here and add it. If you are working with our cloud solution, you'd be able to type in choose a file, then upload it into our cloud environment and thus make it available over here. There are some different options you can choose. This is the file specification itself. And this is going to be an existing file. In fact, it's going to be one that's going to be created by this event itself, which we'll talk about in a minute. You'll see that there are some alternate text options here as well. This is if you want to have it go out in a certain format, because of some users or some email systems that can display HTML, and there might be some mail systems that cannot display HTML. So you do have the alternate text, which basically, in addition to specifying the same text in plain text format, it'll be within the actual email deliverable of the actual event. So it really will help you as far as getting the messaging across in HTML. But in any event, this is something we don't have to worry about today. We're just going to leave this blank. Just keep in mind you have that ability. You also have the ability here, and by the way, this will open once you do have the actual document described here and pulled over, and then this would open up and you'd be able to make that choice. You also have a choice if this is going to be ASCII text. Some old fax systems might have required it if you're feeding this into like a fax router or something of that nature, but in any event, if it is ASCII text, you can check this box right here. Now we're going to include this file with this checkbox as opposed to it just being an attachment per se. It is going to be included in a copy operation. Now we'll talk a little bit more about that, but essentially copy, think of that in the context of FTP, where we're actually going to send it to an FTP type site, and that's going to be, basically where this particular file and how this file is going to be transmitted. So that's what that checkbox would do. You have the file here. Now, this file itself, and again, as I said before, this could be any type of file that you simply have on your alert and automation server, and you'd be able to use it and attach it to the deliverable that's going out. If it is an email, you'll see a checkbox at the bottom. We We saw the report checkbox before, and if there is a file that is basically assigned in here, it would be included as well, but it will go out through the copy function or the transmission to an FTP site. And I'll show you the setup of that in just a minute. This file happens to be one. This is something we can do in the Alert and Automation tool, that this particular file really doesn't exist yet, or it does exist, but this is a file that's created or recreated by this actual event itself. So that brings us to another part of the deliverable, and that's going to be to create a file. So over here, we kind of take on a little bit of the building of something similar to like an email body and that sort of thing, where we're going to create a file, and we're going to take fields that are returned by the actual query itself or the trigger itself, and just put them into a simple statement. And you can separate them in different ways. I have them separated by a comma. Take note of the begin repeat and end repeat. We have kind of some of the same concerns about, am I going to just have, let's say there's 20 orders in our system above $20 or whatever the threshold is. Do I want one file going out with all 20 orders listed, or do I want one file for each individual order that is over $20? So you use the same commands that we looked at when we created the body of the email. They're right here in this statement, as you can see. And the way we would do this, we begin the begin repeat, and since we're building a file, we would just then list in the comma separation the fields that are making up that file, and then put the end repeat at the end of that line. If you put it down here, then there'll be nothing but blank lines that are going to show up in the file. So just kind of keep in mind, this would be a typical format that you would use in building the actual file. Now, a couple of other things that need to be considered when you are setting this up, especially if you're going to be using the copy function, which sends things out in a FTP transmission, or sends it to an FTP site. On the subscriber side, now you have subscriber information that's tied to the event itself, but you also have where the section up here where subscribers are essentially set up in the system itself. And if I go over here, I'm just going to open one up. You'll notice that there are tabs on the top that this would have to be filled in. Now, obviously, the email tab is filled in from our work with emails, but in the standpoint of copy functions, then this would need to be filled in, particularly the location of where the FTP server is that this is going to be sent to, and then you have your username and password and stuff here. So we just need to be sure that is set up at the subscriber level. And then at the actual event level, we'll run back to this event real quick. Then, as you know, you do attach your subscribers here. And once we add a subscriber, again, we'll just pick somebody from here. You'll see here that the box for copy now, we've checked the one for email, but now the copy box would be needs to be checked as well, so that with the information that has been provided as far as the user and the other connection information for FTP, it knows to send it to that particular subscriber. So as you can see, some will have copy function and some will not. So again, that is our setup. Key points as far as setting up and using files within the system. Keep in mind that this file here can be created by this action over here. or it could be an existing file just sitting on your server somewhere of any sort of type of document that you can send out or FTP send while the event is working. And then if you are going to be creating files from the triggers and from the output of data that is come from the triggers, then you could create a file over here. So thank you for joining me, and good luck with Alert and Automation.
Thank you for attending Sage Alerts and Workflow video-based training.